From snakes that guzzle down their victims whole to these ferociously fanged fish that shred flesh for fun. This isn't a fever dream, it's the Amazon, a place crawling with creatures you were never meant to see. So grip your torch tight and don't look back as we venture into the dark heart of the rainforest, where each animal coming up will be scarier than the last. Sinister snakes. Now, when it comes to scary animals in the Amazon, where better to start than the green anaconda? Stretching to a stupendous 30 feet with a chunky 12-inch width, the largest of these snakes come in at 550 pounds, more than 3 times the weight of a typical human. But what really makes green anacondas so downright disturbing is their immense power. As they're non-venomous, they rely on their crushing constriction abilities, coiling their muscular bodies around captured prey and squeezing until the poor critter asphyxiates. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend getting as close as our man here. Yikes. If you ever happen to cross paths with these monsters, you'd think you could at least escape by diving straight into the Amazon River. But no, these rascally reptiles even have that figured. You see, green anacondas are semi-aquatic. Incredibly, they can hold their breath underwater for more than 10 minutes, meaning swimming away from these monsters ain't looking likely. Even after green anacondas run out of breath, they can remain underwater, as their eyes and nostrils are located at the top of their heads, allowing them to see and breathe while submerged. Man, there really is no escaping those terrors. But, as scary as all that sounds, what if I told you the Amazon might be home to an even more frightful serpent? Around 60 million years ago, this prehistoric snake, which stretched around 50 feet long and weighed as much as a whopping 2,500 pounds, ruled the Amazon. I'm talking about the Titanoboa. Thankfully, this scary snake has supposedly been extinct for around 58 million years. Saying that, there have been numerous claimed sightings of the Titanoboa in recent times. Arguably the most famous account was from Percy Fawcett, a British explorer who, in the early 20th century, wrote about what he witnessed in the Amazon.
We stepped ashore and approached the reptile with caution. As far as it was possible to measure, a length of 45 feet lay out of the water and 17 feet in it, making a total length of 62 feet.
Fortunately, most people passed Fawcett's tale off as nothing more than a good story. Even still, the Amazon covers over 2.5 million square miles of land, making it well over 10 times the size of France. What's to say some super snake isn't hiding in its depths? If all that wasn't frightful enough, there are also stories of yet another supersized serpent in the Amazon. According to indigenous tribes across the region, there have been numerous sightings of the dreaded Yakumama. This snake, believed to be the mother of all aquatic animals, is said to measure close to 200 feet long, making it 6 times lengthier than the largest green anaconda. Blah. Even more chillingly, according to whispers within the rainforest, the Yakumama can supposedly suck up any living being that comes within 100 paces of it, like some sort of vicious vacuum. On top of that, it's even said that this mega monster can create whirlpools by thrashing its colossal body in the water. In the early 1900s, a boat of 2 men supposedly spotted the Yakumama in the Amazon River and dropped an explosive into the water, hoping to wipe out the creature. After the explosive detonated, the soaring snake rose from the water before swimming off, leaving the men with chills down their spines. What do you reckon? Is there a train-sized, sinister serpent living in the Amazon? Or is this just some heart-racing rumor? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Vampire wasp. But supersized snakes aren't the only thing that you'll need to keep your eyes peeled on in the Amazon. Any animal with vampire in its name ain't gonna be too friendly, and that's certainly the case with the vampire wasp. First discovered by researchers in 2023, these intimidating insects grow to 0.7 inches, making them around twice the size of your typical wasp. However, what makes these guys so fearsome isn't their size, but what they do to their prey. When a female vampire wasp finds a suitable target, typically a caterpillar, beetle, or spider, she'll deposit an egg inside the host by piercing it with her ovipositor, a needle-like egg-laying organ. That's right, the vampire wasp essentially injects insects with its own offspring. Ugh. Someone get me a puke bucket. As their name suggests, vampire wasps also have a taste for the red stuff. Turns out, after stabbing their hosts with their ovipositor, the female will slurp down the hemolymph, a blood-like fluid found in insects, which seeps from the wound, as if they haven't suffered enough. Yet the nightmare still isn't over there. After a few days, the eggs that have been placed inside the stricken host will hatch into larvae before they eat the insect's corpse from the inside out. Man, nature is brutal. All of a sudden, hornets look about as scary as Barry B. Benson. Menacing marine life. Speaking of vampires, that brings us to our next brutal beast. Reaching close to 4 feet, this species of fish is known as a payara, or vampire fish. No prizes for guessing how they got that name. These fiery fish come armed with 2 terrifying 6-inch fangs on their lower jaw. And those gnashers aren't just for show either. They will use their super sharp teeth to skewer whatever fish dare to venture too close, even piranhas. While there have been no recorded attacks on humans, would you really wanna swim in waters containing these frightful fish? Yeah, I think not. But payara aren't the only wicked water-based creature found in the Amazon River. Dolphins are usually known for their playfulness and intelligence, but Amazon River dolphins have a much darker side. For starters, like payaras, they love nothing more than tearing chunks out of piranhas. Even more horrifyingly though, these marine mammals have developed a taste for us humans too. And with 28 pairs of these menacing molars filling their snouts, that's not good news. Back in 2023, one unfortunate 28-year-old woman found that out for herself. While paddling in the river, she spotted one of these pink dolphins gliding under the water's surface. Yet, strangely, it was heading straight for her. Probably not thinking much of it, the woman remained in the water. That had quickly become a massive mistake. In a moment, the devilish dolphin sunk its teeth into her leg, not letting go for 20 seconds. Thankfully, the woman survived, though she did suffer deep tissue damage to her foot. Ouch. Man, the Amazon is so cursed that even the dolphins here are hellish. Kissing bug. Up next, the kissing bug, which has gained a reputation for getting a little personal, shall we say. But don't get it twisted, these insects found throughout Central and South America certainly aren't lovable romantics. These nocturnal bugs buzz around at night, searching for any sleeping animals to feed on. Once they've locked in on a target, they'll insert their needle-like proboscis into their host before slurping on the poor soul's blood. However, when it comes to us humans, kissing bugs decide to ramp up the horror even more. You see, they get their name thanks to their tendency of biting humans around the lips. Though the bite's painless, it comes with some very nasty side effects. That's because after slurping your blood, these eerie insects will, and there's no simple way to say this, defecate on you. Then they say romance is dead. Not only is that insanely disgusting, it's also deadly. Often these bugs carry a parasite known as Trypanosoma cruzi. If anyone bitten by an infected bug happens to smear its feces into the open wound, it can cause Chagas disease. Now, that's really not something you want. Initially, anyone infected will experience mild symptoms, like fevers, muscle pain, or headaches. However, as much as 30% of infected people can develop long-lasting, serious health complications from this illness. This ranges from stomach pains and constipation to heart failure and cardiac arrest. Sheesh. Tragically, this disease is so deadly, it wipes out some 12,000 people every year. And all that from an unsuspecting insect getting a little too familiar. Man, talk about the kiss of death. Spiny devil katydid. Though our next Amazonian insect won't be giving you a perilous peck on the lips, that doesn't make it any less terrifying. As its name suggests, the spiny devil katydid ain't a critter to be messed with. Measuring around 3 inches, they're not horrifyingly huge, but what they lack in size, they make up for in sheer nightmare fuel. At first glance, these critters don't look much different from any old cricket. However, take a closer look and you'll see their head and 6 legs are covered in spiny thorn-like projections. Ouch. Talk about a spiky customer. As you've probably guessed, those spines aren't some sort of decorative armor. Spiny devil katydids thrust their lethal legs either to fight off predators or ensnare any poor prey. Though they don't have any teeth, they are able to easily devour dinner thanks to their large mandibles. In fact, it's said a spiny devil katydid's bite is so fierce it can even slice through human skin. Okay, before you start hyperventilating, you'll be glad to hear these conniving critters prefer to munch down on seeds, fruit, and any helpless insects they can get their menacing mandibles around rather than us humans. Even still, knowing a super spiky, menacing mouth cricket is lurking amongst the rainforest's foliage is enough for me to give the Amazon a miss. Mapinguari. Back in 2014, a group of berry pickers were delving deep into the Brazilian Amazon when out of nowhere, they heard a strange sound. It was a spine-chilling cry from some beast in the rainforest. One of the harvesters began imitating the cry when they suddenly realized that the noise was getting closer and closer. Then there was a loud crash before a dark, tall creature with one reddish flaming eye was staring down at them. In a moment, they ran for their canoe and sailed back to their village as quick as they could. Thankfully, all of the berry pickers escaped unscathed. Still, they couldn't sleep for days afterwards and refused to return to that section of the rainforest ever again. So what beast had they encountered? Well, for some theorists out there, it may have been the Mapinguari, a mythical, monstrous creature that's said to live amongst the dense foliage of the Amazon. According to Brazilian folklore, the Mapinguari can stand on 2 or 4 legs, is at least 7 feet tall standing upright, has shaggy hair, and possesses a cyclops eye. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like some prime Hollywood fiction. However, according to rainforest biologist David Oren, there have been more than 80 reported Mapinguari sightings over the years. So, is there really some crazed cyclops creature roaming the rainforest? Well, probably not. Zoologists who've heard stories of the Mapinguari believe the most likely explanation is a case of mistaken identity. For many, the most likely culprit is the spectacled bear. Though these mammals aren't known for habituating the Amazon rainforest, they do occasionally venture down from the mountains in the western Amazon during the winter. They're usually on all fours, but can stretch close to 7 feet when standing upright. They also possess these strange markings on their head, which, when in the dense, shadowy rainforest, could certainly be mistaken for a cyclops eye by any terrified onlookers. For now, the true identity of the Mapinguari remains a mystery. What do you think? Does a creepy cyclops really roam the rainforest, or is some other creature responsible for these sinister sightings? Harpy eagle. So far, we've delved into the terrors that prowl the land and watery depths of the Amazon, but don't be fooled into thinking the skies above are safe. Whether it's the striking crown of feathers, that piercing look, or its bulky build, the harpy eagle certainly isn't a bird you want to mess with. I mean, imagine having that thing death staring down at you while you're trekking through the rainforest. As you've probably already worked out, these fearsome flyers are menacingly massive too. Harpy eagles have a wingspan of 7.5 feet and weigh in at a hefty 20 pounds. That makes them the 6th largest bird of prey in the world, and the biggest found throughout the Amazon. Yet, awe-inspiring as their size is, it's their wicked weapons of choice that truly send shivers down the spine. Take a look at this eagle's talons. Measuring some 5 inches in length, these talons are the largest of any eagle on the planet. For some perspective, they're so large they're around the size of a grizzly bear claw. Armed with such crazy catchers, harpy eagles can take down a whole host of prey. 2-foot-long howler monkeys? No problem. 8-pound sloths, easy pickings. Even small deer aren't safe from the harpy eagle's vice-like grasp. Harpy eagle? More like harpy evil. Alright, I'll see myself out. Spectral bat. But harpy eagles aren't the only shadow in the Amazon sky that'll strike fear into your heart. With a wingspan stretching over 3 feet long, the spectral bat is the largest bat in the Western Hemisphere. Yep, you heard that right. A bat with a 3-foot wingspan. For context, that's over double the wingspan of the hoary bat, the most prevalent species in the U.S. And while seeing a great big bat glide over your head would be terrifying enough, what makes spectral bats truly terrifying is their devilish dome. Whether it's their eerie ears, devilish snout, or, most chillingly of all, these grisly gnashers, spectral bats certainly are a frightful sight. Typically, bats nibble on fruits and insects. Not these guys, though. Thanks to their menacing maws, they have far more bloodthirsty ambitions. Stalking their prey from above, these bats zoom down before delivering a fatal bite to the top of the prey's head or neck. They'll happily dine on anything they can fit their mouth around, from birds to rodents, and even other species of bat. Man, there really is no loyalty nowadays, is there? Amazon giant leech. While you may be looking to the skies to dodge any harpy eagles or spectral bats diving down, you'll also want to check the Amazon's rainforest floor for our next sizable, slimy customer. Growing to a gargantuan 18 inches, the Amazon giant leech is around 9 times the size of a typical leech. You won't be surprised to know that their cat-sized proportions make them the largest freshwater leech in the world. But their stupendous size isn't the only thing that sets these guys apart from your typical leech. While most leeches use rows of teeth to puncture the skin and draw blood, the Amazon giant leech takes things to a whole new, horrifying level. They'll burrow their long proboscis up to 6 inches into any poor host, allowing them to slurp blood until their bellies are full. It sounds horribly painful, but most critters actually won't feel a thing. That's because the leeches secrete a cocktail of chemicals that numb the area the proboscis pierces. As well as that, the leech's saliva contains a strong anticoagulant that increases blood flow, allowing them to slurp away. Now, based on the size of them, that's not something you want. In fact, claims from the late 19th century state that if a horse or cattle were subject to an infestation of several Amazon giant leeches, it could be fatal. Yikes. Fortunately, those accounts are likely to be more fiction than fact. In truth, it's believed these guys consume around 0.5 fluid ounces per sitting, which, if you're wondering, certainly isn't enough to take down any decently sized animals. Whew. Okay, so Amazon giant leeches aren't killers, still. Their size, slime, and the thought of them stabbing a 6-inch long proboscis into my flesh means they've got to go down as one of the Amazon's most sinister species. Fearsome fish. As we've already seen, the Amazon River is chock full of nightmarish wildlife. However, we're not done yet with the crazed critters that call this river home. The sheep's head fish habituates the western Atlantic, though it can occasionally enter the Amazon's tributaries that merge into the ocean. At first, these fish look fairly ordinary. That is, until you catch a glimpse inside the menacing mouths of these swimmers. Inside their maws are lines of these creepy, human-like molars. Doesn't that just make your skin crawl? These crushing chompers are used for cracking open shells of crustaceans and mollusks. Thankfully, these fish haven't developed a taste for humans. Saying that, if startled, they won't hesitate to clamp down on anybody that gets too close. Imagine how painful it'd be to have those massive molars sinking into your flesh. Speaking of fearsomely fanged fish, that brings us to the pacu. This close relative of the piranha is less known, but even more terrifying. Growing to 3.5 feet and weighing in at a whopping 88 pounds, this fish's most striking trait is its teeth. Like the sheep's head fish, pacus are fitted with equally creepy molar-like teeth. These omnivorous fish, found throughout the Amazon, use their strong jaws and crushing teeth to feed on tree nuts that fall onto the river. Now, saying that, there have been reports over the years of these fish biting a very different kind of nut. Yeah, you heard that right. Still, all you gents watching needn't worry too much. These reports have never been validated. So chances are any guys that enter the pacu-filled sections of the Amazon River won't require any unwanted surgery afterwards. That's not to say these fish are completely harmless, however. You see, back in 2004, a young Scottish girl dangled her hand into a pacu-filled tank. Within seconds, one of the teethy tropical fish chomped down on one of her fingers, not letting go even as she pulled her hand out of the water. The brutal clamp down was so nasty the girl needed plastic surgery to repair the wound. Talk about a frightful bite. Candiru. The Amazon River is also home to around 1,300 species of catfish, with some that look big enough to hunt down humans. I mean, look at the size of that beast. Yet, the most feared catfish in these waters happens to also be the smallest. The candiru is a species of parasitic catfish, which usually won't grow to more than an inch long. So what's the big deal? Well, candiru love nothing more than feeding on blood. To do this, they attach themselves to the gills of their fishy host before inserting their needle-like teeth and slurping down all that red stuff. Okay. Parasitic, blood-sucking fish sounds pretty gruesome, right? But what if I told you the candiru is capable of far, far worse? Let's just say any men taking a whiz in the Amazon River's water may want to keep a very close eye on their peeper. You see, supposedly the smell of urine attracts the crazed candiru. So much so that the fish would jump out of the water before, taking a trip upstream. Once inside the man's urethra, the fish will then hook itself in place using the spines of its gills, unsurprisingly causing excruciating pain and requiring surgical removal. Yikes. Now, fortunately for all you guys watching, there's a decent chance things may not be as bad as they first seem. Other than a few anecdotal tales, there's little credible evidence that a candiru has ever invaded a human's private parts. The most recent reported case occurred in 1997, when a Brazilian doctor claimed to have removed a candiru from a man's urethra. Yet, inconsistencies in the account, like the fish's reported size, have left experts skeptical. What's more, research conducted in 2001 revealed that candiru hunt primarily by sight, not smell, which makes the idea of them being attracted to urine highly unlikely. Given all that, tales of these pesky parasitic fish heading straight for human peepees are likely the stuff of fiction. Even still, would you really want to tempt fate by taking a whiz in the Amazon River? Great Potu. Considering all the cursed creatures we've seen so far, it may seem surprising that a small-statured bird that dines on nothing but insects is one of the scariest animals in the Amazon. But scary the Potu certainly is. In total, 7 species of Potu haunt the Amazon rainforest, with most featuring these unsettling yellow eyes that seem to burn straight through you. Yikes, that guy has seen some things. However, there's one particular species of Potu that turns up the creepometer even more. Say hello to the Great Potu. I mean, look at those jet black ping-pong ball-like eyes. And what about that hauntingly large mouth? That thing can see straight through our souls, can't it? But even when Potu birds have their eyes shut, they can still be terribly terrifying. You see, these freaky fowl have unusual slits in their eyelids. This allows them to sense movement around them, even when their eyes are closed. That's right, they're always watching. Creepier still, despite its ability to watch your every move, you'd probably never notice it. During the day, they'll spend most of their time perched upright on a tree stump, relying on their excellent camouflage to blend in with their surroundings. But as night falls, the Potu becomes active, opening its enormous, haunting mouth to snatch insects from the air, swallowing them whole in one terrifying gulp. However, what really cements this bird as a creature of nightmare is their cry. Take the low-pitched, wailing call of the great Potu, which eerily echoes through the pitch-black rainforest. Here, take a listen. Even small insect-eating birds found in the Amazon are terrifying. Man, this place is truly cursed. Well, that just about rounds up the scariest animals found in the Amazon. Which crazy critter do you think sounds most frightening? Let me know down in the comments below, and thanks for watching.